What's happening, you guys? Welcome to another video. Now, I cannot stress enough upon the fact how crucial it is to create environments for yourself that promotes productivity, minimizes distractions, and also allows you to completely focus on your task at hand and actually drive those things to finish line, to complete them in the given time. Which is why in today's video, I wanted to share out with you guys not just my work from home setup where I get all my work done, but my entire productivity system that allows me to, work on my passions, crafts, and career. So let's start off with my workstation right here where all the work gets done, So it could be video editing, it could be researching and ideating about video ideas, about my blog articles, or any of the content ideas that I'm trying to create for either my Instagram or my businesses, And a lot of video editing also happens here on this widescreen monitor and also my computer right here that allows me to use multiple applications that help me, work on my digital marketing stuff for different clients and also my personal business. Right here is my MacBook. On this screen, I usually put my notes where I jot down any ideas that surface up in my head while I'm working away on something important, and I do not want to carry away my attention to something else and start working on something else entirely. But instead what I do is I capture that action item or that idea on my notepad or my Trello board or even my Notion databases, wherever it makes the most sense to be putting them, so that I can act on them at a future time and not get distracted from my work and my task at hand that I really am trying to focus on and get done. The next area that I'm going to be talking about is my living room. Actually, before we move on to that one, I just wanted to talk about my library here real quick. It's a really small rack where I put my books and my camera gear and things like that, but this is an ever-growing library because I love reading books. I love reading autobiographies. I love reading personal development books, which gives me a lot of ideas and helps me with my philosophy in my own personal life, So some of the books that you're going to be seeing here are this one I read every single day. This is what I start my day with. This is going to be the Daily Stoic for my daily dose of philosophy, my life philosophy, which is a lot of Stoic philosophy from Marcus Aurelius, from Seneca, from Zeno, and from the ancient philosophers of Greek and those times. They just really helped me get my day started on a positive note and have a little bit more control over my thought patterns and life in general. And also I do have other books like Benjamin Franklin here. So I do, again, as I said before, I do love autobiographies so that I can gain an insight into the mindset and lives of the successful people that have lived before us or even right now, so that I can actually start to train my mind and my reticular activation system in my mind, in my brain, to develop thought patterns, behavioral patterns, and be able to act like the kind of people, the kind of person that I'm trying to become and model those behaviors that were exemplified by these really great scientists, doctors for that matter, or researchers or authors. So this is my area, my library area where all the physical books go, which is apart from the fact that I do listen to a lot of audiobooks as well. Whenever, from the time I wake up in the morning, whenever I'm brushing my teeth, I'm already listening to audiobooks in the morning or even my run. But these are some of the physical books that I regularly try to read and just also have them in my background as markers to, again, train my mind to see these things on a regular basis and look for the kind of information out in the world or meet the kind of people that can help me become the kind of person that I'm trying to become, which is, again, successful with the right mindset and all of those good things. And moving on, let's talk about my next productive system, my next productive area, which is my living room. Living room area does act as my meditation space. So whenever I wake up in the morning, I freshen up, I listen to my audiobook on Audible, I brush my teeth, take care of all of those things. And the first thing after that I do is I move a little bit, stretch out my spine, move my legs a little bit, and straight get into meditation, because I try to meditate at least 15 minutes every single day. It just helps me compose my mind and feel good about myself and think about important things in my life, appreciate those things, feel grateful about those things, and start off my day on a positive note. Again, my mornings are really geared towards that, expose my mind to the positive vibes, positive philosophy, also meditation. So these habits I have put in place so that I start my day off on the right foot, be more in control of my own actions, on my thought patterns, rather than being reactive to whatever is being thrown in my way, like later on in the day, either from my phone, my social media, or the people who are trying to reach out to me on WhatsApp, or even my family for that matter, you know, because I really have to like hold my focus tight so that I can like use that, leverage that focus and my willpower to actually accomplish the work for the day that I have set my mind to. Again, this is not a very huge space, but it serves a lot of purposes, which is supporting one of my biggest passions in life. Again, it's gonna be fitness, which literally transformed my life. If you guys did not know, I had a back surgery back in 2011 when I was like not really athletic. It was a tough time for me. I was never really an athletic kid growing up. I was kind of chubby, but I developed this back condition where the doctors had to really cut out my lower L4 and L5 discs. But after I recovered from the injury, after the surgery, I had to regain the strength back in my lower back and my, you know, like legs and things like that, so that I could like be mobile again, be able to move without pain and things like that. And ever since that episode happened, I have been really passionate about taking care of my health and fitness and be as strong as possible, not just mentally but also physically, you know. So this area serves as my gym space because in Toronto we are still in lockdown, the gyms are shut down, and I would literally lose my mind if I don't get to train every single day. So I train a variety of things, you know, like this year one of my goals is to like learn martial arts. This is where a lot of like, you know, a martial arts training happen, a lot of like explosive mobility happens, a lot of weight training happens, some deadlifts, and all of those things happen right here in this living room, which is why I also do not have a coffee table, because I don't really see the purpose of it. And I'm really trying to use this space as a productive space, you know, my home. I just do not want anything in my apartment, for that matter, like any piece of furniture or anything that does not serve towards like me fulfilling my potential, which is again working on my business, working on my training and my passion. So if it doesn't serve a purpose, it does not belong in my apartment. Basically kind of like mimicking the minimalistic lifestyle, but I do try to minimize the kind of stuff that I do not really need in my life. So I would rather have less, but whatever things I have in my life are there to serve a specific function and a purpose. Okay, so moving on to the next area right here is gonna be my kitchen, you know. This is where I cook my meals, I cook my food. I love cooking, you know, and it's also a great way for me to like let my mind wander, relax a little bit, detach myself from like, you know, my daily work and the things that I'm trying to work on and think about obsessively all the time, you know. And I absolutely love cooking my meals because it just allows me to have a better control on my nutrition, on my macros, because then I know how much like calories that I'm like putting in my body, and if it's like, you know, actually helping me or supporting my goals of either losing fat or building muscle. And then there is this area, the island area, which I use to help me prepare my meals and also at the same time eat my food here, and actually use this area as an entertainment space when I'm like watching Netflix or catching up on just fun stuff on YouTube. Usually most often happens on this island right here, where I can like sit down, relax and things like that, and just unwind and watch something, get entertained, and not necessarily be distracted with all of those things when I'm like trying to work and focus down on the task at hand. And last but not the least is my bedroom, where the recovery and the sleep happens. I really only spend about 7 to 8 hours in my bedroom sleeping, and the most of my time goes into like my living room. So I basically have separated out my productive systems based on areas and times. In the morning, I train, I meditate, those things happen right here in my living room. If I'm like working on a YouTube video, if I'm like coding, if I'm like working with a client on their digital marketing stuff, creating content or doing copywriting for them for that matter, all of that stuff is gonna happen here in a specific time period. So I try to work on my business at least 5 hours a day. That's my goal. So right now I'm trying to like, you know, divide my window of work, which is 5 hours in like 2-hour chunks and 3-hour chunks to get 2 hours before training in the morning. But that's the time when I'm trying to like focus on like maybe scripting or researching or ideating about like YouTube videos or writing a piece of like blog article, something that just really takes a lot of willpower and all of my focus and attention. So I try to do those tasks first things in the morning after listening to my audiobook, freshening up and meditating. That's the first thing I try to do. And after that I train, you know, and 3 hours after training and eating food, like later on in the evening, because I do like training in the middle of the day. That's when it's the brightest out in my living room, the sun's out, and it just feels amazing to be able to like train at that time. And later on in the day, after training and things like that, getting some food in my body, I do other work which does take a lot of focus, but at the same time I can spare some focus to other things as well. Talking about like separating these functions, these times, like cooking gets done in another area in the same living room, in another area in another time, and work happens in the same living room but in another area of the living room in another time, and then training happens in the same living room but in another area of the living room and time. What I really have done is I've kind of like separated my functions out, which is training, working, cooking, recovering, and entertainment, which are the 5 things that really happen in my life on a regular basis now that we are in lockdown and there's nowhere to really go outside. So these are the 5 things that I really do in my life, which is again sleeping in my bedroom, meditating and training in the living room, cooking my meals in the kitchen, working on my workstation. But it all happens in this apartment, which is again only 500 square feet, but does serve a lot of purposes. So what that does is separating these things into like specific areas and specific times lets my mind know that I'm in this area at this time, which allows me to then focus on those tasks at hand so I don't get distracted by something else. So I'm like not thinking about food when I'm in this area, because I know it's now the time to eat food and I'm in this area at a specific time. So that means I'm trying to like get work done, and my focus is all on my work and not thinking about food or training or working out. If I'm like working out, it's in this area of the living room where I'm like working out at a specific time, and my body and my mind knows that this is a time when I train and when I work out. So my mind is not really wandering away to other things or getting distracted by again food or work, which is again in the same space, in the same area, but a little bit like more separated out in different corners of the room. That lets my mind know what to like focus on. Like creativity and courage is a fleeting resource, because you might have experienced in your life that you sometimes get an idea and you're so excited about it, but then you don't really act on it or even capture that, and it just goes away. And in the moment you might have that idea and you might have the courage that you want to get that done, and you're like, you know what, I can get this done, this is a great idea that I want to work on. But at a later time you think about the same idea, and by that time you might have lost your courage to actually act on that. So it's really important the moment you get an idea, either like capture it somewhere and define a few things about that so that you can later on revisit that idea and take some action on it, while you still have the courage. So do you understand what I'm like trying to like say? It's sometimes like it's really hard because like you just procrastinate over those things and move on to something else and never actually act on that idea and get that done. So I do want to create environments that allow me to act on things as quickly as possible, right? If creativity hits me, if I have an idea in my head, I can act on it right away so that I'm not waiting around or procrastinating just because the moment is not perfect for those things to happen. So let's say if I'm trying to work out, I like set up my entire gym area when I'm trying to work out, bringing in equipment from outside, pushing away the couch, bringing out the barbell, setting up my landmine press and things like that allows me to train efficiently and effectively in this living room, the same living room where I live, where I work, where my kitchen is, literally 2 feet away from that, But to be able to do that, I have to create that environment and be in that mental headspace, that motivated headspace that allows me to like take action, actually train and train hard even when the gyms are not open, because it would be very easy for me to make an excuse and just like not act and not train as hard as I want to just because the gyms are closed. But I have invested in the amount of equipment that I can use and leverage from time to time to train effectively the same way I would at the gym. Even with the minimal amount of equipment that I have, I still have an environment created for me to be able to like train efficiently and effectively in this tiny space of an apartment that I have here. And same goes with my computer. As I told you guys, I have my MacBook here, I have my keyboard here, I have my cameras here, I have my lenses here, I have my microphones here, everything that can allow me to talk to you guys, communicate with you guys, make quality content for you guys on YouTube and on my Instagram. But as I told you guys, creativity and courage is a fleeting resource, so I want to like capture on those ideas, take action on those ideas ideas as quickly as possible. So I have created this environment that actually allows me to do that and be more productive just because everything is set up and ready to go. So I can like plug in my memory card into the camera. The batteries are already charged. All I have to do is press record and start talking to you guys. So that's an environment that I have created for myself to be productive. Now let's say if I want to like hop on a call with a client, everything is set up right here. If I want to hop on a client call, I can do that because my next environment, which is my workstation, allows me to do that right away. So you see how important it is for all of us to like create environments that, you know, like minimize distraction, allow us to be productive and focused on the task at hand, because that's the most important thing, you know, to get those things done, not procrastinate over them and drive them to finish line, because it's very easy for us to even get started on some things and then call it good, be like, you know what, I'm not motivated enough, I don't feel like it, I'll do it at a later time. And by that time, you lose that environment, you don't have a proper environment to get back to it, and then you just don't get those things done. So you could be in a smaller area, you might not have enough space in your own apartment, right? But that does not mean that you cannot create environments that allows you to be productive and be distraction free, so that you can like focus all your efforts and energy on the task that you're trying to get done and not procrastinate on those things. You could just create an environment for yourself with just a computer and just a table or just a desk, a simple desk. It doesn't have to be something more elaborate. For the training part, you could just have a few kettlebells, just a few dumbbells, or you could even train just body weight movements on a yoga mat. Just a yoga mat in your living room could be your environment for you to be able to train. But just having that environment will let your body and mind know what time is it and what time is this being used for, what function, which is right now going to be training for you maybe. But this is why it's so important for you and I to create environments, and more than ever, because everyone is working from home, and I feel like most people struggle with separating their work environments away from their home environments, especially when you have other people in your home too. It could be your kids, it could be your spouse, it could be your girlfriend or boyfriend, or it could be, you know, like other things that are going on in your environment, especially when you are like limited on your space. So it's very important for you to be able to like focus on the things that you were trying to like work on, and creating environments then becomes more important than ever to be more productive, you know, and be able to like work on your things efficiently in a timely manner and succeed in life by doing things that are really important, and by focusing all our efforts and energy on those things, by minimizing our distractions and creating tight focus bubbles so that, like, you know, we can be absorbed in our work at hand and give it our best. But I really hope you guys found some value in this video today, and the ideas that I shared with you guys on how to be more productive, on creating like proper work environments, training environments, and basically any environment that you want to create for yourself that either supports your passion, your hobbies, crafts, or your career, you know? All of those are really important things for you and for me, right? So why would you not want to invest some time and money and actually create those environments? And these environments don't really have to be that expensive. These are the things I have accumulated over time. But anyway, if you guys are still watching, I really appreciate every single one of you. And I'll be talking about more of these productive tips in future videos. But until next time, guys, keep exploring, stay inspired, act on your goals and dreams, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. All right?